Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You're listening to episode number 87 of the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Brian
and Kirsten.
So this week we have some very special guests on. We have Jordan and Will, who are respectively Brian and Kirsten's significant others. And we are going to be talking about getting engaged in Walt Disney World. But first, as always, let's talk about some news topics this week. First up, we have the schedule for D23 was released this week. It looks like Friday, August 23rd, we're getting the Disney Legends ceremony. Saturday, August 24th, we're getting the Walt Disney Studios panel, which is going to be all of their animation stuff, their live action stuff, Marvel and Star Wars as well. And then Sunday, we're getting the parks panel. So just a little thing to keep an eye on because I know we're all super excited for that.
Yep.
I have a couple of questions.
What's that?
So, number one, Will and I were sitting here debating what is the criteria to be a Disney legend? Because
there doesn't seem to be one.
Not anymore.
People are. Secondly, this is just what I was thinking when I was reading about the parks part. Do y'all think that they're going to announce most of the 50th stuff this year, or do you think they're going to announce it in 2021 right before?
I think they're going to have to do a lot of it this year just because there won't be enough time if they wait.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. Like, if they drop it this year, it gives everyone the chance to get excited and like have the build up for it. But then if they drop it in 2021, like that's going to be halfway through the 50th.
Well, I guess I mean like if they do like a Beyonce Lemonade thing where they are like surprise, you know.
No.
Not for like a ride, but for stuff, you know, that happens the day of or the month of October. I don't know.
Like a special cupcake that has a little 50 on it.
Surprise, special cupcake. This is what we've been waiting 50 years for.
I feel like they're going to drop some big stuff on us because they're going to do stuff about Epcot. Like they've already said that. But I think that it's going to be Epcot and the 50th. That's going to be the two big things this year. And then they're still going to have those like little surprises leading up to it. Like the cupcakes. Those are definitely going to be a thing that they're going to talk about right before.
Is even a surprise at this point?
No.
But do they bubblegum the castle again?
Oh, Lord.
Castle cake. Oh, yeah. So excited. What did they do for the 60th that went really well that they might do again for the 60th?
Sparkly everything.
That was the diamond anniversary, though. It was a little different than...
Damn. What's the 50th? Oh, you're going to have to bleep me again.
Kirsten. Always. Did they do a 24-hour day? Was that one of the things that they did? Or
I don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me if that was something they decided to roll out. It was like a 24-hour event or something like really big day of the 50th.
I'm so excited. 50th is gold, okay? So maybe they'll just paint the castle gold. I'd be cool with that.
It's better than bubblegum pink, so yeah, I'll take it.
And I'll say, if you're listening, Bob, let's do normal gold and not rose gold.
Are you sure? Because they were on a kick with that for a while too, so you never know.
Still on it. I'm surprised there's not a rose gold wall yet. That would really be like a meta.
They'll come out with a new gold and call it millennial gold and then do it that color.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So our last news topic this week is that there are some changes coming to the Fast Pass system at Hollywood Studios, which really should be no surprise to anyone. But from August 29th forward, all rides in the park will be considered Tier 1 Fast Pass, while all of the shows end up being Tier 2. And if you don't understand what that means you get to pick one ride and 2 shows. And then when Galaxy's Edge opens, all the Fast Pass changes, or all the stuff is going to stay the same, but that attraction doesn't look like it's going to be getting a Fast Pass. So there's another little interesting change coming to Hollywood Studios.
This is real dumb.
Thank you. Does this make any sense whatsoever?
Nope. The thing that I still don't understand is how they're going to do Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios, because they haven't announced if they're doing a reservation system for Walt Disney World. They haven't announced what they're doing. I know that some people were saying that they saw like Walt Disney World management at Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, and maybe they were just trying to get ideas for over here, but it feels like it's so close and they're running out of time. And then this comes out and it's not looking good for this park at all.
No, I mean, it was already going to be insane once it opened, but now they're doing the fast passes this way. I mean, this is just making me want to avoid it even more, knowing that I'm not going to be able to do I'll be able to do one other ride while I'm there.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, why don't they just make everything in Galaxy's Edge Tier 1 and then everything else Tier 2 for a while?
Well, and even if they decided to do it kind of that way, do like the Smuggler's Run attraction Tier 1 and then all of Toy Story Land Tier 1, and then everything else can go Tier 2, because then you still have some rides in Tier 1 to like buffer around if people need to make the Fast Pass reservations. But I guess at this point, there's not much left in Hollywood Studios, so how can you even make Fast Passes there anyway?
I don't understand why you don't just – I mean, obviously Smuggler's Run is going to be a Tier 1. I don't understand why that one's just not added to Tier 1 and everything else stays the same.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably because they don't quite know what they're going to do with that yet. Like,
it just seems like it's going to make crowds worse, in my opinion. But
oh, absolutely.
Like, well, if we can't go ride like Tower of Terror, we might as well stay in line for Smuggler's Run with every other person in the world.
Yep.
Yep. So I guess enough angry talk about Hollywood Studios. Let's talk about our topic this week. So this has been requested a couple times by a couple different people, and we thought it would be fun to kind of sit down with some of our significant others and talk about like how we got engaged in Disney World and, you know, a lot of the planning that goes into it, maybe give some tips for anyone that's thinking about it, and then go from there. So Kirsten had the idea to tell our stories about how we got engaged, and I guess in typical show order, I'll go first and then we can go around. Since my significant other is not here, that'll be pretty quick and easy.
I feel like call her out since why.
That was a total call out. But we got engaged last trip that we were there in March. I had been planning on doing that for a while. She is a total introvert, if you can't tell by the fact that she didn't want to be on the show. And she didn't want a lot of attention. But I knew that Disney being a place that we really liked to go, and, you know, it was a part of our relationship. I wanted to propose there. I knew that that was the place that I wanted to do it. And I decided that the best place to do that would be somewhere secluded. So I opted to do it at the Poly Beach, like I had said on our episode after my trip. And yeah, that was how I had planned on it. It didn't go quite as planned. And I think that that's something to like mention to everyone. Always plan for error. We say that a lot. But specifically in my case, I had planned to wait it out, do it during the fireworks that we could watch from the beach. And that way it would still be that cheesy, like romantic thing, but wouldn't have all the crowds around. Of course, the night that we went, our dinner ended up getting cut short. Trader Sam's got too crowded too quick, and we ended up out on the beach where it was too cold. So I kind of just did it and called it a day. As not romantic as that sounds.
I guess we can go next. We went, I guess I'll kind of begin with our first like vacation together, like that we had done on our own, was to Disney World while we were both still in college. So it was a lot of like scrapping money together and doing stuff on the real cheap and everything. And which I actually really enjoyed because, I mean, it was the first time I had been back to Disney in quite some time. So it was nice coming back and seeing it, and like even knowing that we had to do it on such a limited budget and everything, like still enjoying it so much and everything. And it, you know, just going to show that you don't have to dump a lot of money in there. But anyways, near the, it was on the last day of our trip. We were kind of just trying to find somewhere to eat, and we really just stumbled upon Port Orleans. And we'd never really been there before. We'd never eaten there before.
But they had reservations.
They had reservations. Yeah, and just like randomly, it was one that was available in the app. So we decided to do it. And yeah, we just really enjoyed it. And we loved walking around the grounds and everything. And it was like, I don't know, it was like kind of the winding down of our trip that night. But then it was like, we got to go to this really fun, cool resort that like I wasn't really expecting. And it kind of like it was like that last fun boost to the trip, like before we had to go home and everything. But anyways, just to say, like, it was a lot of fun. So when I was getting ready to propose, I mean, at this time we had been pass holders for what?
2 years?
Yeah, almost 2 years at that point. And like Disney had become this like big thing for us. You know, we go there so often and everything. We had a lot of fun with it. So I knew I wanted to do it at Disney, but I also knew that Jordan would not have wanted me to do it anywhere near a crowd.
I would have walked away.
So
Seems to be a reoccurring.
So I was trying to think of somewhere that was, you know, quiet and secluded and pretty. And like my first thought was, oh, Port Orleans. Like we had so much fun there that night on our last trip and everything, and beautiful grounds and everything. And I thought that would be it's a really nice place to do it. So anyway, so we went, we got reservations again and ate dinner like we did the last night of our trip and everything. And I was perfectly fine up to a certain point. Like everyone always tells you that it's like, oh, it's so nervous. You know, every time I'd heard someone else's story, it was like, oh, I was so nervous doing it. Like I was shaking and I couldn't, like didn't know what to say. And like the whole night leading up to it, I had the ring like stashed away in my truck in the back. And like the whole night I was thinking like, this isn't that bad. Like we went to the parks before that and everything. And I kept thinking, I was like, why do people get so nervous about this? I don't understand why it's so nerve wracking. And it was the weirdest thing. So like we were getting ready to end dinner and I like snuck out to my truck to go get the ring out of it. And I don't know what it was, but as soon as I put that ring in my pocket, it was like, I started like having a mental breakdown. I was like, it was happening. I got so nervous and everything. But anyways, we went after dinner and just like walked around the grounds and everything. And then we finally made it back to where the little bridge overlooks the water wheel at Port Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then very, very nervously and shaking and stumbling over words, I finally put ring out proposed. So, yeah. Does that pretty much sum it up?
You say that you were fine, but you were acting weird like the whole hour and a half drive there.
Oh, okay. So subconsciously, I wasn't doing that well, apparently, even before I was nervous.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Jordan? Like your vision, like your whole, did you expect it? Were you like thinking it was going to happen? Again, like you thought he was acting weird.
I wasn't necessarily expecting it, but it had been a long time coming, I guess. And like when he was like, oh yeah, let's just drop the dog off and spend the night at Disney, I was like, something has to be happening for us to just randomly, because we were on our way to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was like, oh, it'll cut time off the trip. It's only an hour and a half. So I expected something, but I was not sure what was going on.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's your turn.
Okay. So Kirsten and I had actually been planning to do this for a little while. We were currently living part. She was in South Carolina and I was in Arkansas at the time. So in making plans to do this was kind of a thought that this might be the right time to go ahead and get engaged. And I knew that this was, Disney was where Kirsten wanted it to happen. And as you can imagine, she had sort of planned the whole thing out a little bit.
Kirsten, no.
That's not shocking at all.
The first time we went to Disney World together, we were in high school. So this was like a recurring thing in our relationship too.
Yeah, for sure. So she wanted it in front of the partner statue right after Wishes in Magic.
Dang. Did you put like a big X down with tape, like showing you where to do it?
Oh, basically, yeah. So basically wanted it in front of everyone, unlike you guys. So planning that. So we actually when we went, my grandmother, who absolutely adored Disney, and my cousin, who is kind of the person who taught us how to do Disney. I mean, she's the one who showed us how to sort of game the old fast pass system and really get the most out of everything. Like the first trip that I went on with her was like a Mulan montage, like training montage of running back and forth across the park, trying to ride everything 5 times. And so we actually brought them with us to kind of share the experience. And so we drove down and I was like, she was like, she wants to do this at night. I'm like, I don't know that I can make it. I don't know that that's so in thinking about it and just the logistics of that and trying to, maybe get pictures of it since we had family, I'm like, if we do this during the fireworks or right after the fireworks, this is going to be a mess. So I actually decided our first day we went to Magic Kingdom. And so I decided we were there for the ropes drop. And if you know anything about Kirsten, you know that she is the sprint to the back of the park and do everything you want to do kind of person. So I had already told my grandmother, I was like, hey, I want to do this and I want to do it first thing.
When did you tell your grandma and your cousin that you were proposing?
When you pulled into the parking lot of the hotel.
How long were y'all in the car together?
Like 16 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. No, I, waited for the perfect time. It just didn't happen until then. So I told my grandma, bless her heart, I was like, I want to do it now. So she stops and she's like, let's all take a picture together. We stop in front of the PhotoPass photographer, I guess right on the other side of the roundabout. So with full view of the castle. And honestly, that was one of the best decisions that we made because they got in the photographer's ear and said, hey, this is going to happen. We all took pictures together. And then Kirsten and I took pictures separate. And that's when I proposed. And that's kind of when it all started because at that point, so we had just done rope drop. So they just had the show at the very beginning and Aladdin and Jasmine walked up and introduced themselves and we took pictures with them. And then the fire chief, which was the first time I'd ever even seen him, walks up and escorts us over to City Hall to get our buttons for celebrating. So it was a really, really good experience. And I'm glad I did it the way I did because honestly, like you said, I don't think I could have kept that ring in my pocket all day and not have it meltdown.
Yeah, good on you for that one because that was the hardest part.
Yeah, so took a little risk disobeying Kirsten.
Oh.
But it all worked out. We got some good pictures. So that's the one and only time we've paid for PhotoPass and we've got a lot of good stuff out of that. So
now, did you let the PhotoPass photographer know that you were going to do something or was that totally like...
Yeah, so thankfully I didn't trust my family to actually take pictures, which is good because they actually didn't manage to get any taken. So my cousin actually, got in the photographer's ear and said, hey, this is what's going to happen. Like, just shoot everything, essentially. And so we had, 20 or 30 pictures just from that. And then obviously made use of the PhotoPass afterwards too. So
nice. Now, Kirsten, from your perspective, how did that go?
I was honestly super irritated whenever we stopped because we never stopped. Like, what are we doing? Like, and so another thing, Will's mom also loved Disney World, and I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past. She actually passed away the previous year, and so every time she went to Magic Kingdom, her favorite thing to start the day was to do Dumbo, Teacups, Small World, like in that order. That's how we started. And so I was like, okay, let's go. Like we got here at Rope Drop, we're going to go do Dumbo, Teacup, Small World. And then they're all like, let's take pictures. So I was pretty irritated. But then I realized as he was like getting on, one knee, like what was going on. So then I wasn't irritated anymore.
She said, "Oh my God, you're doing it now."
And I think it did work out better than the at night thing. And, so yeah, I'll give him that. Although wishes would have been cool too.
Like I said,
enjoy wishes without like
having a nervous breakdown.
The whole time.
And I don't mind people watching. Like I'm pretty introverted in conversation and when I meet new people, but situations like that, I was like, heck yeah, everybody's watching. Like
you could see in the pictures there's like 30 people just turned around staring at us.
But Will is not. Will's very introverted. So I think that was probably tough for him that's branching out quite a bit.
Well, the one-time deal, I figured I could suck it up.
So I guess this is more directed towards us guys. When you were planning to propose, I know Will said that Kirsten kind of mapped it out there. What was your like thought process like? I mean, for me, it was pretty much, I knew there were certain things that I needed to do. Like I couldn't do it in front of a crowd. That was the big thing. And I wanted to do it somewhere on Disney property. And for me, I kind of thought maybe the fireworks would be cool. So getting those 2 points together at a connecting spot was what really led me through my planning. But was there any like other thought process that went into it for you guys?
I mean, the same thing. I knew not to do it in front of a crowd of people. There was like no input from you other than that. If there was, I must not have paid attention because I don't.
Did you consider other places, or was it just Disney?
No, I had considered other places, but I don't know. I thought it was like
most fitting.
Yeah.
I thought you meant other places like Country Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he would have.
No, that's if somebody were to propose to me, that's where I would want it to be. But this was about her, so.
So Brian's dream proposal is that during Country Bears, instead of Teddy Bear coming down from the ceiling, it's someone with a ring.
Or if she just came down with like the ring like on her toe or something, that I think would be nice.
So if anybody,
we do a vow renewal.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
Oh my god!
This is what you got yourself into. Oh boy! What about you, Will? Was there anything that went into it for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just understanding what was important to her, which was Magic Kingdom and the castle. And honestly, I thought that she would really enjoy having full scale castle pictures instead of something like super close up in front of a statue. And that really worked out pretty well. So I think that was the biggest consideration. Otherwise, it was the things that happened around the proposal. So, I mean, if you're doing it at Disney World, it's much more than just that one, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever that happens to be. There's a lot more that goes into, just how the trip is planned and what you're going to do after that and the space you leave to kind of enjoy everything afterwards. Because, I mean, Brian, you said you did it like towards the end. I mean, we did it at the very beginning. So we got to, I think it was important to me to not have to wait that long. Because I would have just been nervous the whole time, but two, to actually kind of have some time just to enjoy it and kind of be in that space for a little while.
Yeah, man, that's risky though. If she says no, then it's like, man, the rest of that trip's rough.
He clearly had it set, like what was happening.
That was the other thing that we thought too. Like after it all happened, we did the first full day I did the first full day that we were there. And like later on in the trip, we both had this thought that like, what if she had said no? That would have made the rest of the trip so awkward. But I guess like that comes with having the understanding that that's where your relationship is at and that you're ready for that.
Yeah, I would say that's a good tip. If you're going to propose to someone on vacation anywhere, but Disney World, You should probably be pretty certain about what the answer is going to be, because that would not be great otherwise.
Yeah.
Proposing in a third destination, like not your home, that's probably a little risky in itself. So I didn't really have an option to think about other places. I couldn't propose on Jungle Cruise. So Mario, did you think about anywhere else? Or, I mean, did you go through a list of places that might be possibilities?
So I kind of like had the same thought process of I want to, if I'm going to do it in a park, do it in Magic Kingdom, but where can I find a secluded spot? And the only other spot that really kind of like kept coming up to me, which isn't really that secluded, is back by like the Wishing Well area that faces the castle. That was a spot that I thought about. And more my dilemma was our vacation was just the two of us. And funny enough, the day before we went down, her mom was talking to me and was like, oh, make sure you get pictures. And me thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to do it at the Poly on the beach. I was like, oh my God, there's no photographers out there. What am I going to do? So that whole night before we left, I was like, do I have to reevaluate my plan? And like ran through all these different like scenarios in my head of where I could potentially find a photo pass photographer to do that. But in the end, what I ended up doing was, and this may be like a little tip for our listeners if they're thinking about it, I just set up a tripod, told her I was going to take pictures of the fireworks from the Poly Beach because she knows me. She knows I carry my camera around a lot and it really wasn't that suspicious. But I set it up, I put it in video mode and I pretended to take a couple pictures. And when she started to complain about getting too cold, I said, okay, well, I'll make a deal with you. We can leave if you let me take one picture of us on the beach. That's usual for us, for me to want to take pictures places. And she agreed. So I, used that opportunity to film our proposal. So her mom had something to see when we got home.
That's cute.
But yeah.
That was good planning ahead.
Yeah.
We have no pictures of our engagement because
We have one in the hotel room.
yeah, I didn't think that far ahead.
Well, and when I was planning to do it, I was thinking like pictures aren't that important because like, I mean, we're not really gonna we haven't looked back at that video besides to show it to everyone that's asked about it, and that's made our lives so much easier because people are just like, oh, how did it happen? And I'm like, oh, let me pull up the video. So like, you kind of get some flexibility there, but my biggest piece of advice, I guess, is to kind of consider, like I said before, what's important to you and the person you're proposing to. And when it came to planning that, really the only place that I could think of was either the Poly Beach or maybe somewhere in our resort, somewhere that was more secluded. I knew that anywhere in the parks would just be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have that problem. You guys got to do it around dinner, though. We didn't actually have dinner until later. We went to Artist Point, which I think Artist Point was like a really good place to kind of relax and have it soak in a little bit because it was just so quiet at the time, which we went like the second week of January too. So that helped a little bit. But now that they're going to fill Artist Point with characters, that's long gone.
Yeah. Now, question for you guys, because you did it early in the morning and you had like a lot of time to like decompress after. I know for us what happened was immediately after we hopped the monorail, we went back over to Magic Kingdom and then we did a bunch of stuff over there. And like the time frame right after I proposed to like when we woke up the next morning was just like such a blur because so much happened in that space. Was that whole day like that for you?
I don't remember anything that happened.
Yeah.
In between getting our buttons from the fire chief to eating at Artist Point, I remember nothing. Like
It was very busy because I was like trying to like obviously call my parents and then tell my friends and then like put it on social media, but not until I had told my grandmas and that sort of thing. So, and I'm like in line for rides as I'm doing this. So yes, it was busy.
That is exactly what happened to us because as soon as it happened, we were like, oh, well, I guess we can either, our first thought was, I guess we could either go back to the parks and do something or just go back to the room and call it a night. And as soon as it happened, she was like, oh, well, I want to go get our buttons now. And I'm like, okay, I guess we got to go find some place to get those. And we had to go back to Magic Kingdom anyway to go get on the bus to go back to, Port Orleans. so she was like, let's just go into Magic Kingdom. And on the way there, she called her mom on the monorail. She told her whole family there. We got off. We stopped at Town Hall, got our buttons, walked across the street, decided to get ears so we could take a picture with them. We had to wait for them to get done. Watched like 5 minutes of Happily Ever After, rode Buzz Lightyear, walked all the way around the park, came back, got our ears, took our picture, went back. And like all of that happened within a 2-hour time chunk. And it just felt like it happened in like a snap.
I mean, I guess we did watch Wishes that night. I mean, I assume so because
yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, we had lunch, we had dinner super early so we could get back for Wishes, like any true Wishes fan would do.
And that surprises me not in the slightest bit.
Well, I would say, like, if somebody's thinking about getting engaged, what kind of logistical things should they consider? I mean, we talked about what y'all consider. Are there any other things, or like, do y'all have suggestions on other places that you would recommend to certain types of people, like people who are introverted, you know, places that you didn't use, maybe that people who aren't all about the fireworks and Magic Kingdom or whatever could go to?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like.
I mean, I feel like that was kind of our situation too. And it's hard to think of a lot of areas inside the park that are really like secluded enough to do kind of just a more personal, just like one-on-one with no one around.
Dino Land.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it comes down to the couple, and really, you know, like for us, we knew a lot of places outside of the actual parks on Disney property that were special to us, and that's why I decided to do it at Port Orleans. So I think if you are more introverted, you know, look outside parks, look at the resorts, look at some of the other fun activities there are to do. I mean, I don't know. Now Disney Springs is probably one of the most crowded places on property now too. So
that's a boardwalk that I could see happening.
That is a good point. Yeah, the boardwalk
would be good. And I think if it's going to be in a park, I think Animal Kingdom does have a lot of, you know, the trails and
the paths
so you can kind of get lost. And I also think another really good place that would still be romantic would be like World Showcase after the park closes, because it takes everybody so long to get out, and like all the lights are on, and you know, it's quiet. And
you don't underestimate like Magic Kingdom after hours too, because after the fireworks happen, a lot of people tend to, you know, sprint to the gate and get on the bus. You could easily get that nighttime shot in front of the fireworks or whatever.
Yeah.
Or not in front of the fireworks, in front of the castle. Or you could do it in Hollywood Studios since there's nothing there.
Well, if people want to watch, that's going to be a tier 1 fast pass.
Get one of the construction cranes in the background. It'll be beautiful.
Gosh.
But I thought one of the most romantic things for you guys to do was play putt-putt.
Yeah. So yeah, look at doing it at putt-putt.
Fantasia Gardens, that's the prime.
Or, you know, Winter Summerland. Some people are Winter Summerland people.
Oh boy.
What about keeping the ring? Where did y'all keep, like Mario, you especially, where did you keep the ring all day?
I was really crafty about that, and I'm glad you asked, because I just thought of that. So before we went down, before I had convinced her to let me take my camera, that was my biggest worry, because I was worried that, like, you know, we were going to go through airport security and it was going to fall out of my bag, or something like really dumb would happen and she'd find it. But what I ended up doing was, after I convinced her that I was going to take my camera and I was going to bring all my camera stuff with me, I just bought a lens pouch on Amazon and I just slid it in there. She never would have checked my camera gear. And even after it happened, she was like, I don't know how you hid that from me. And I was like, I put it in a place you never would have looked.
Sneaky.
Where did you hide yours?
Oh, I just put, there's a little, there's this like side panel on the back of my truck where you keep like a emergency roadside kit. So I just stuck it in there.
But like beforehand.
Oh, it was.
You said you'd had it.
Oh yeah, I had the ring for probably a little over a month before I actually
No,
proposed.
we didn't live in a big apartment.
No, but I kept it in the like cabinet where all my video games are, so I put it in there. So
Smart.
What about you, Will? Where'd you hide yours?
He didn't even have a good box. It was like this tiny little weird box.
If you get a giant box, you definitely would have known that. Like
That was my biggest concern too. I was like, I got the one that it came in, and it was kind of just a small little thing. And I was like, oh, I could order something online that would be cool. And then I thought about it, and I was like, that's going to be big and bulky, and she's definitely going to know.
Yeah.
exactly.
Did you even have a box though? Because it was your mom's ring.
Yeah, it was a small little box that I found. Yeah. Yeah. So,
What?
I mean, other options of where to go, like the balcony at the Contemporary could possibly make for a good vantage point.
I've seen a proposal there.
There's also, I don't know if this is the same spot that you're talking about, but the walkway in the Contemporary. Is that the same one that you're thinking of?
So I'm thinking the,
Like up at the top.
Yeah.
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 Otherwise, I mean, there's a lot of nice restaurants if that's more your speed, if you want to go to Cali Grill or
They'll put the ring in a shoe.
Victoria and Albert's and do that kind of thing. That's not really what we were interested in. And then, of course, if you want to pay money, Disney Fairy Tale Engagements is a thing. Did not investigate that at the time, but that's they do event planning and stuff like that, so they can help you figure something out.
okay, this is news to me, but apparently not to Jordan because she's shaking her head over here. Like, yes. So.
Yeah, they do the ring and the shoe thing, and I think like I was looking at it just because I was looking at the Disney weddings, and it's like $300 for your ring and the shoe, the ring that you bought.
Glass shoe, not like a random shoe.
Glass slippers.
I will say that everything that they do is super pricey because when I was in my panic about
Disney like upcharges for all this crap. This is new.
no, just wait because when I
in a park.
Right. When I was stressing about the whole pictures thing after Mom was like, "Oh, make sure you get pictures of it." I like went through every avenue that I possibly could have, and it would have actually been cheaper to hire a professional photographer and bring them onto Disney property, like pay for their ticket, than it would have been to have Disney's photographer shoot for a half hour of our time.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So what I had looked into too was in my spree of trying to figure that out. Disney Fairy Tale Engagement has connections with the Disney Fine Arts Photography or whatever it is. And you can book a photographer through them. However, they only work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So consider that too.
I feel like they're missing out on a revenue stream there because I feel like there are enough people that propose there. If they made it affordable to help, like if it was $100 or $150, for them to help you plan something simple, I feel like a lot of people would probably take advantage of that. I feel like they're pricing themselves out.
Yeah, but I feel like they've got enough of that market share that they don't really need to capitalize on the small folk.
Small folk, are we in Game of Thrones?
Yes.
The sad part is that we are the small folk.
Well, another thing to think about too is if you don't want to do the big expenditure of like Disney Fairy Tale Engagements and all that, you can get the like little gift packages and stuff too, and they have some nice like little options that you can do later. Like I bought it was like a little serving tray and it had little champagne flutes and a thing of like sparkling grape juice, and I had that sent to our room as like a celebration thing. But just a nice little thing to add on there.
Will has a page of notes. What else?
I think we pretty much covered everything. I mean, honestly, the things that I thought about were like, do you want pictures? Think about where crowds are going to be, because I mean, you guys obviously thought about that, but even if you want to be in a crowded place, you don't want it to be super crazy because that sort of might ruin the experience. I mean, in front of partners during wishes is kind of
that probably would have been a little crazy.
I mean, I don't know if I would have had room to like kneel down and not get trampled, but I mean, think about those kind of things, the atmosphere that you're looking to achieve, and like know your audience. Because I mean, I could have proposed during like Hoop-de-Doo review, but that would have not been received well. Yeah, know what they're
And
looking
we
for.
would be talking about the whole "what if she says no" thing.
Having this conversation at all, for sure. But yeah, I mean, she made it easy for me, but just know what, obviously you guys did a good job with this as well, but like know what their expectations are and kind of manage to that as well.
Yeah. And I think as much as I kind of hate to say this, like know what everyone else is kind of going to expect from you too, because having that shock of like her mom wanting pictures was enough to send me in a frenzy. I know it's traditionally like your engagement and like you should really focus on you first, but people are going to ask those questions later, and being prepared for that definitely helps.
Yeah. All right. What about engagements for two people that are big Disney fans, but maybe they can't make it to Disney World?
Sucks to suck.
Oh man, that's a really hard question.
Well, there's always atmosphere music. What? I'm serious.
Turn wishes on, you're like, oh.
Play wishes on a big TV and propose in front of that.
I love music that they play at Fountain of Nations and that sort of thing.
You might be the only person who would want to be proposed to that way.
What's your idea?
Ambiance from Future World.
What's your
I mean, that
idea?
sounds fantastic, but I don't know. I've never been proposed to. I've never really answered.
I mean, I feel like if they're a really big park person, you could totally get a super high def YouTube video playing on a big screen.
Going down Splash Mountain.
That is that. I have to derail this for a moment, but like proposing on Splash Mountain sounds like the worst idea ever.
I feel like that's an accident waiting to happen. Like,
Oh, I know. I'd just
But
be
I've
too
seen
terrified.
people do it.
Yeah.
Or is that just for show?
I don't know.
the ring pop or something. Surely they don't have the ring with them.
It's like when they come with the chessboard, they've probably got the ring like super glued to their finger so it doesn't come off, you know?
It's not very hygienic. I don't know. I mean, if they're a movie person too, then you could definitely watch like a romantic Disney movie. I don't know. Lady and the Tramp.
Good one.
That romantic.
That's the only romantic scene I can think of.
Just watch
We've
like
already
2 minutes of Up and then propose.
No, that's terrible.
Something I thought of.
Yeah.
Like, what if you planned like a Disney themed photo shoot
Oh,
where you propose?
that would be cool.
That's a good idea.
Or I was thinking even like maybe like taking popular like Disney recipes and like cooking dinner for your significant other before you propose like a special
That's
Disney
cute.
meal.
Yeah, that's good. Cheese,
I'm
soup, Canada.
Oh, man.
I'm surprised we're coming out with these ideas. We've determined we're like the least romantic podcast ever. Yeah, I've really got nothing on that one.
Yeah.
I feel like I think if you're a person that, you know, you and your partner enjoy Disney and, you know that that's a part of your relationship, you're going to have some ideas. I think it's always important to kind of look to them for some kind of indication without being too direct.
That's a good point.
I would also say if it's possible, if that's something you really want, it is worth the wait. I mean, if it takes a little bit longer than anticipated to get there, that is something that, you know, if you can do, and it's just going to take a few months longer, that's, you know, don't be in any hurry. Like, you'll be married for long enough to make that worth it.
Hopefully.
So fingers crossed.
I also think that depends on who you ask, because had you asked Andy that before I proposed, she would have told you were crazy. Had you asked her after, she probably would have agreed.
Yeah.
So she was like ready.
Oh, she was absolutely ready. I think we both were, because we had been talking about it for a good long time. And then I knew that I wanted to do it there. I knew it was a special place for us, and I wanted to make it as special as possible. She's the kind of person that would have been content if I did it anywhere, but I kind of had to go a little over the top with it.
Yeah. I guess that might be an age thing too. I don't know, because we were pretty young, and Brian, y'all were young.
Relatively.
How old were y'all?
I guess that's a good question
2
too.
years ago.
We were both 24 at the time, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're older than we were what?
21.
21, yeah.
Cool.
About to turn. Well, we didn't get married until we were 23, so we were engaged for a little while.
Ripe old age of 23.
Oh boy. So I gotta ask the question because we had our Disney weddings episode. How much of a Disney wedding did you guys have? Like, did you factor anything in for your wedding that was Disney related?
We tried to get as many like subtle touches as we could. I'll say real quick, we spent about 5 minutes planning a Disney one, and then that went out the window real quick, like when we saw the cost. So we just decided that we would try to do like some subtle stuff. So I know one thing, the venue where we got married at, they would you would have like a chalkboard out front that you would like either they could decorate it for you or you could decorate or have someone decorate it like however you want. And so we had one of Jordan's friends make a design on it that said to all who come to this happy place, welcome, in the Disney font and everything. And aside from that, like the venue let us put up like certain decorations around the venue. I'm trying to think. Like we had a couple little stuff.
We had the little banner, the Mr. and Mrs. banner. We had our cake topper. You don't remember?
You gotta remind me.
It's literally sitting right on my desk.
You gotta remind me.
So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. What?
What was the cake topper?
Oh, it said "Tale as Old as Time" on it.
Okay.
We did. Yeah, you're saying the banner. It had the little Mickey punch outs on it, right?
And then all of our character pictures and stuff that I put up.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was something. Our music, that was a big thing.
Oh yeah, our first dance was to A Whole New World, like a piano rendition of it. So it was like.
And what did I walk down the aisle to?
You walked down the aisle to.
Putting you on the spot.
At last I see the light, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, you did. Woo, that was close. Okay, but yeah, so like really though, it was like unless you were a big Disney fan, you probably wouldn't have even noticed like the Disney stuff really that we added to the wedding. But it was special to us, because we knew what it was and it was fun.
Yeah,
So,
we looked into the Disney wedding, but we would have had to just make our wedding a lot smaller, and I didn't really want to compromise on size because our family and friends live so far away, and I wanted a big wedding. But he had Mickey ear cufflinks, and actually there's some of the nicer Disney jewelry is by Rebecca Hook, and she, I think years ago, used to do Disney jewelry, so I had a couple pins and like hair pins that were my grandmother's that were Mickey ears. So I had those in my bouquet. What else did we do that was Disney?
We had the crystal castle cake topper.
Oh yeah, we bought one of the little crystal castles and put that on top of our cake, and now it just is the decoration in our house. We didn't do a ton though. We walked into, that's when the the Disney commercials, like I'm sure y'all obviously see them and you get really nostalgic too, but they were to that Good Life song, One Republic.
Oh yeah.
So we walked into that at our reception. That was really mostly it. I think some of the songs that they played, when people were entering and exiting were Disney, but it wasn't specific, and that's not what I walked into or anything. Our first dance was a Cher song. So
there it is.
Oh.
So we've covered 2 of 3.
Beth's not here, so we've covered them all. We've got them.
What's the third?
Drinking at Disney.
Oh.
Like podcast big go.
Yeah. But I totally want to do a vow renewal at Disney World, just so that we can go in super early and take pictures in front of the castle. Like that's literally why I want to do it before I'm old and wrinkly.
It's just, that's just so expensive. Like, well, the vow renewal is not as bad as the weddings. That I will say that.
I just want pictures in front of the castle in a dress. Is that too much to ask for?
You can do separate park photo shoots.
Really? I thought you had to do the vow renewal or wedding to get the in Magic Kingdom photo shoot.
They have a company that I think like it's like an outside company, but they have permission, but you have to do it like after hours or before.
I should look into this because that's really what I want. And Will would be thrilled with that because he does not want a vow renewal.
Yeah. Well, they let us get married on Jungle Cruise.
Will, we're already married.
You got to renew your vows on Jungle Cruise.
I don't know. That would be amazing if you could get a skipper to officiate, though.
Just full of puns.
Guys, we should look into this.
At what point are you supposed to do a vow renewal?
You're not.
Whenever you want. We're not. We should do
Good
it.
answer.
In my opinion, I meant them the first time, and therefore they're still good.
Like, you go through a lot of
Dang, that's super logical. I like that.
I like it. I mean, if you can do a separate park photo shoot, I would be down for that. But
I don't even want a lot of people to come. I would just do it with like us and Eli. You know?
we don't have kids.
Good, y'all can have one. No, I think 10 years. I thought 5 years, but that didn't work out. So now 10 years is my new goal.
That's not that
5 years seems so soon.
Yeah, that's
It
not.
really does.
There's this blogger who's really, she's like a Disney blogger, but she really focuses on the weddings and like events at Disney. And they got married at Disney World, and they do a vow renewal every year.
That's a
That
little
sounds
much.
expensive.
Yeah, I don't know how they did their first one. I think at Aulani. Yeah, that's still every year goals.
I mean, I don't.
Okay, the cruise packages like for weddings are a lot cheaper than.
So someone needs to break this down for me because I like. Is that something that other people go to? Is it like
Like
a
a
mini
vow
wedding?
If you want people to, but I
It
think
depends.
people do it. I think generally it's when they're older, but I don't want to be wrinkly in a wedding dress.
So you're supposed to wear your wedding dress again? Is that how it works?
You get a new dress.
You get a new dress.
Does it happen?
Man, this sounds like a scam right here. I don't know about this.
I think that it's generally a lot smaller. I think it's like kids and, that sort of thing.
And it's not like the typical white wedding dress. You can do like
Colorful.
something fun.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still on board with this. I don't know about it.
I'm not either. I just want the park shoot.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we need to just plan this together, then we can split the cost.
So y'all can have your vows renewed
No.
together. Take pictures, and Brian and I will
Ride country bears.
I'm down for that. Lock it in.
Can we just have a princess photo shoot and you guys can just go do whatever while the park's empty?
Yeah, that works.
That's cute.
Okay.
Putt and Trader Sam's, and I'm in.
Boom.
Sounds like a date.
So we've officially decided that we're splitting this podcast off. You guys can have one half of it, and the guys will have the other half.
Yeah.
Oh
We
boy,
need Beth here to see where she falls on the vow renewal train.
we'll have to ask her when she gets on next week.
Okay. Where's the worst place possible to get engaged on Disney property?
Bears. Mic
Okay.
drop.
Kirsten's mic's cutting out. Does anybody else want to answer that?
I have a very good one though. I think the right in front of the train station, like on the bottom part where the Welcome to Magic Kingdom sign is, I think that's probably the worst because you have all of that foot traffic there. Pretty much anywhere directly in the middle of Main Street.
Dinosaur, when Dr. Seeker is yelling, they're not going to make it.
That's great.
Related.
Pictures and histories. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Or else those new smoking areas. That'd be nice.
I think on Tree of Life right when the stink bug comes out. That might be a pretty rough one.
So the first time I ever went in that, I had a stomach virus. I was 11, and
Oh no!
I thought you were about to tell me you saw someone get proposed.
I had poisoning. It was awful.
Well.
Let's see, Chef Mickey when they're doing the napkin swinging.
You just hate that.
We've determined Kirsten hates fun.
It's sanitary. Do you know how much food is probably swinging around that room?
No.
Beside the Winnie the Pooh touchscreens.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst. That is the absolute worst.
I also think
take them down.
Yeah. I also think there's some restaurants that probably wouldn't be great. Like, I mean, Whispering Canyon might be fun for everyone else, but I feel like that's not a good spot.
Is that the one where you yell about ketchup
Yep.
and stuff?
50s prime time. 50s prime time. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, that would be horrible.
Might be fun.
I mean, Sci-Fi Dine-In too. You won't see it happen.
That's the worst restaurant ever. Hollywood and Vine. I've heard that's pretty terrible.
ABC Commissary.
Oh,
that's it. That is the worst by far.
But would you say yes if it was at Casey's?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
question is, do you get corn dog nuggets out?
Oh, absolutely. You put the ring over one of the corn dog nuggets.
Oh my gosh.
They might give you corn dog nuggets for free.
If you said you were going to propose,
Just walk up to the counter and be like, I need these.
try this when they go to Magic Kingdom. It's going to be like, give me
Oh,
too bad to propose.
Yeah.
Anywhere during Pop Warner week.
Oh, yeah.
Or basically just Hollywood Studios.
I mean, unless you want a quiet proposal filled with the sounds of Star Wars construction.
What about during the cheerleading weekends?
Ooh, that's a good one.
All-Star Sports, yes.
Yes.
So exciting.
Or in the parks, you kind of slide into one of the foreign tour groups,
Yeah.
stop them, and propose in the middle of that entire
They would
crowd.
probably be really enthusiastic. They would
They really sing.
Yeah, that might not be a bad one. All right, add that to the other list of good places.
For next time.
Oh,
I don't know. What else?
Stitch's Great Escape was around. That would be a pretty bad one.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Ooh,
I think if extraterrestrial was still around, that might be bad too.
this would be a good one if you got to be that guy at Monsters, Inc.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
perfect, actually.
Oh, that's cute.
Ooh, if you have a big Monsters, Inc. fan, I really think that's a great idea.
You know what we didn't mention that's probably a really good tip too? Don't forget to get the cast members involved because they love this kind of stuff. I think we maybe briefly mentioned that, but definitely don't underestimate how much pull telling a cast member might have.
Yeah, we got super lucky with that because we got good pictures out of it, which was one part. But then just having it around rope drop and having Aladdin and Jasmine come up and talk to us and the fire chief, I think we got really lucky in that regard, which honestly just shows how excellent Disney can be on a whim, just when stuff happens, how prepared they are to make it a special moment. But yeah, as much as you can get other people involved, that would be really, really cool.
Kirsten, when you were there on college program, were you involved in anyone else's?
Sadly, no.
Nobody proposed at Pop Century Food Court? Is that not a popular place?
Or the entrance to Magic Kingdom, the
TTC.
TTC. No, I did see somebody, but I would have been helpful, but I also would have been kind of jealous because I would have been super in my feelings. Whenever we went to eat at Cali Grill for my and my roommate's birthday, and that's when we saw somebody get proposed to up at the top, and we were all like, "Oh, ugh, I wish that was me." So double.
That's a pretty good spot too, somewhere up there where it's kind of quiet.
I will say, if you're going to do it there, so there are two walkways out there, which y'all probably know. There's one that's closer that you go into if you actually ate and had reservations at Cali Grill, and then an observation one that anybody can go to, but it's behind the other deck. So I would say if that's your plan, definitely get a reservation and eat there so you can go to the closer deck and have a better view, you know.
Or even if you don't have a reservation, and Kirsten, I know you've mentioned this once, if you go right when they open or right before they open, you can actually sit down in the bar area and they have the full menu there so you can kind of get the experience and pay.
But you have to have a reservation.
Is it not just a receipt? I thought it was just a receipt.
Oh, I don't know. Well, look into that. We're not sure, but yeah, that could be an option.
Yeah, that's a good tip too.
Yeah, it's my secret.
Now that Will's blasted it out to everyone.
Thanks for nothing.
I
I have.
I think you have too.
Not very often though.
And then this one's gonna get like
only
so
dedicated listeners get to know this tip.
So is there anything else you guys have that you want to throw out there for any listeners that might be thinking about proposing in Walt Disney World or dropping hints that they want to be proposed to in Walt Disney World?
I would say just enjoy it. Like there will be bad things that happen on your trip and lines and stuff. Just if you're doing this on a trip to Disney World, like this should be the highlight, and then everything else should just be gravy. So just expect to, deal with the normal Disney stuff and do as many of the things you want to. Yeah, soak it in. Do as much as you want to and try to take it easy.
That's a really good tip. I think for us that may have been probably the best thing that we could have done was happened. It was the highlight, and then everything else was just smooth sailing and 10 times better because it happened.
I just wanted to say, I think we were pretty romantic this time around. I think we did good.
Surprisingly.
You've redeemed yourself.
Yeah, pump the brakes a little bit. Baby steps.
It depends on who you ask.
After our Country Bear vow renewal,
Boom.
we'll let you guys know.
Torture.
Then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to be a part of the show, reach out to us on our website at www.station71podcast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, our email address, and our brand new Google Voice line where you can leave us a voice message. Have anything you want to hear us talk about? We'd be happy to discuss that on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.